Probably because I'm like super close to the damn thingamabob. Okay. Hello, everyone. Are you ready for some scary stories? I was like trying to upload one the other day, and I was getting like chills and everything because I upload these on my YouTube. What time is it? It is 10 o'clock. What about your time? No. Hello. Okay, so this one is called Haunted School by Mr. Woody 1776. The elementary school that I went to and the town that is in the history has history. So this is a short story that the town I live in was found by a group of families, and I happen to be a descendant of one of them. Ooh. Anyway, the elementary was built over a Native American burial ground that has long since been abandoned when more settlers came over from the New World. And it had supernatural things happening. Some creatures sometimes want to be heard or seen to warn of something or tell of something that happened in the past. But enough about that. And back to the school, where there are many spirits and ghosts that inhabit the grounds and the halls of the school. People have had various encounters with them. One of my experience with some of the spirits was when me and my two friends were getting things out of the basement, like the cotton candy machine and the popcorn machine. And other things as well. So when we were taking the elevator down to the basement, the doors opened and we walked into a storage room that was at the end of the hallway. It was dimly lit. And then had like these flickering light bulbs. We enter the room and get the machines, and on our way back to the elevator, we stopped just before the corner to enter the elevator, and we saw an apparition of a woman standing about 10 feet in front of us. And as soon as we stopped, she turned and looked at us and then turned away again and disappeared around the other corner. So we entered the elevator and brought up the machines before the doors opened to the first floor. We looked at each other and tried to talk about what just happened. We were very unsure what to say. Another encounter I had in the school was, for context, I was in 6th grade, and I was in the library for an after-school program with a few other kids and a teacher and the librarian. So I was sitting between the stacks of books reading a book, which happened to be a book on ghosts and other supernatural phenomenon, when I heard a knock on the wall behind me, which is a wall of cinder blocks, and then a book of the opposite end where I was sitting at fell off the shelf, and that's when I saw a shadow begin to walk between the shelves and then just disappear. And I got up and looked, but there was nothing there. There are other ghost stories about the school, but there have been other encounters that aren't mine to share, so I will see about getting more of them, but until then, that's it. Oh, thank you for the hair. Yes, I am back. Thank you. Jesus. Thank you for, oh my God, Bad Bash. Thank you so much for the gifts. Happy Friday the 13th. Okay, but I honestly believe that 13th is like a lucky number, but happy Friday the 13th. Happy Friday. Well, yeah, happy Friday the 13th. Yeah, no, that's crazy. I feel like 13th is not so much of a bad number. I don't know about you guys, but did you know? I guess so. Yeah, it's Friday the 13th. Oh my God, I should have done a story, but it just escaped me today. Fun fact, I used to live in Minnesota, and I would drive by a crystal lake all the time. I mean, I would watch it. I actually feel like we need another Jason versus Freddy, but that's just me. All right, I'm going to give that an upvote and go back to the thread. Oops, I'm going to go back. And of course, it just keeps going into the comment section. All right, this one is a short one. So it's just called Ghost Story. This is posted by Canned Heat with 2 T's _1. Just a short one, they say. I've always been interested in the unknown, even as a kid. I was always up late watching a TV show called Ghost Hunters and Mystery Hunters on TV as a kid. I would always stay up late as a kid too, so I was always an all-nighter. My grandma lived in the States and I was from Ontario. I would spend summers over there every year as a kid and into my teen years. I've been getting into the supernatural and ghost world more and more, now looking back now. Her house was absolutely terrifying, and I always knew it. Her stairs leading to the basement had a very distinct sound walking up and down them. Like I said before, I like to stay up late, and long back now I heard someone walking up at night on the stairs very often. I could hear them come up the stairs through the kitchen, and then it would stop once it got to the dining room. Just looking back now, the most terrifying ghost experience I've had without even knowing it. Being watched in the middle of the night by someone or something you can't see, but you can only hear it. And yes, I am from Snarled. Oh, thank you. You guys are so sweet. Oh my God, that actually makes me think of something. So, okay, stairs, right? For me personally, I used to have like these spiral stairs in my house in Minnesota. Like my mom and I used to live there. And my mom had, I think I mentioned this in one of my past lives, but she talked about this, how when I left, I moved to Denver and I lived there for 10 years. She ended up staying by herself, living by herself in this house in Minnesota. And she told me that this one night she just felt like she was being watched. She was having experiences, and she basically like heard somebody walking up the stairs. And keep in mind that like the bedroom, if you leave the door open, you can see the entrance to the stairs. Like there's no hallway or anything. It's literally like the stairs, maybe a little floor to the bathroom and the bedroom. And my mom would keep that door open with the hallway light on. And so literally she's hearing somebody go up the stairs. And even the cat, like my mom's cat, got off the bed and ran towards the entrance of the stairs because they both heard someone coming up the stairs, and no one ever came up the one time she said that a white shadow person walked up the stairs. It was really weird. Thank you guys, all so sweet. Thank you. Any of you guys ever seen Stephanie's YouTube channel? Oh, thank you, Chris. You're too kind. Seriously, Chris, you're too kind. Stop. Too kind. You're too good to me. But I do post my lives. If you do like these scary stories and you just want to hear them like while you're driving or cleaning or whatever, I do post these live sessions on my YouTube. So in case you do miss it or you want to see more, I do post them on there. Okay, so that was interesting. Made me think of my mom's encounter. I'm going to go back. Nope, this is not a story. Let's see. Okay, this one's another one. It's a long one, but so let me bite into this. Have I ever heard the story of Travis Walton? I have not. What is it about? Should I look this up? I have heard of the Red Room Curse. I think I did it once a while ago, like forever ago, on a live. But I can do more on that. Travis Walton. So Travis Walton is like a UFO story, right? Let me just exit out of all these little... I have so many tabs open. I'm like the worst when it comes to tabs. Well, okay, the one that I really thought... The one that gave me chills, you guys, is the Taylor Granger story. That one is also like not UFO abduction off the bat, but is in that spectrum of things. So the Tom... Let me see if I can find a quick thing. Let me see if I can find it. So I see a Reddit post on it, but not the whole story. I think it'd be kind of cool to do like, it'd be kind of cool to do like watch parties on my lives of like encounters of people. So Taylor Granger was like this, or Granger Taylor. Let me like just make sure I'm not talking on my butt. Yeah, there we go. So Granger Taylor. So I'll read this one. On the stormy night of November of 29th, 1980, Granger Taylor left a note for his parents to find. It said that he had gone to board an alien spacecraft after reoccurring dreams had told him he was going to embark on a 42-month interstellar journey. That night, Taylor vanished. Both his family and the police spent months searching for him, but no one could uncover any leads on where Taylor could be. In March of 1986, local forestry workers found a blown-out vehicle somewhere near BC Mount Prevost, not far from the Taylor family home. Taylor was familiar with dynamite and had gone missing from his parents' property the night he disappeared. The police were called, and they were able to confirm that the vehicle identification number on the wreckage matched Taylor's sedan pickup. Bone fragments and a piece of Taylor's shirt were also found at the scene. So when my story about Taylor came out, I wasn't sure what had really happened. So this is like a very quick synopsis of it, but I'll go into further detail because I watched a documentary with like Taylor's best friend. So Taylor was like a really smart person. Like he knew how to like put together like really vintage like trains and cars, which most people historically couldn't have done. And I believe he also, NASA did a whole shout out because of like how much he was such a good engineer at putting things together. And basically the whole thing was that he was always looking for something like the next best thing to assemble and take apart. And then one day, out of nowhere, like he would hang out. Oh, he also built like a tree house, but it wasn't like a tree house. It was actually like the shape of like a spaceship. And he would spend many times in solitude in that area. And it was said that like he would just like meditate, do his own thing. And one day he started telling like his neighbor, his best friend, his family that he was having communications with aliens. And basically from there on out, one day he gave a letter to his parents. It was basically a will, but he crossed out certain like keywords like death and put as like a journey or in place of. And anyway, long story short, he goes to a diner. He's not wearing like any proper attire, what would be like on a rainy day, bad weather day. And then he just leaves just like that. And the letter was like, hey, I'll be back in 42 months. Here's all my things, what to do with it while I'm gone. And his best friend, I heard like was it on... Sorry for that interruption. But the best friend said that he like waited and like just would pray that he would come back. And he asked Taylor, can I come with you? And Taylor's like, no, time and space is so different than time here in this plane. So that's why he couldn't go, allegedly. Now, fast forward, yes, they do find like this blown out vehicle part. But the whole thing with that is that the reason why Taylor carried around dynamite was because they would basically blow up certain spots in the woods to make pathways. So like, I guess like the family and the best friends counted like the stock of dynamite, and there's no way that he would have, at least allegedly on their half, there's no way that they could have taken that much like Taylor could have taken that much dynamite. Like that wasn't missing. So they're kind of wondering where the heck would the dynamite come from. Fast forward, also the coloring of the car, even though it does match like the identification number of his pickup, there were two completely different colors. Now, there are people that have said, if something blows up, it could maybe the fire or the heat could have changed the color of the piece. The other creepy part about this, though, is that, yes, they did find a bone fragment, but it's gone missing. Why would a bone fragment have gone missing? Like, that doesn't make sense. I feel like it's so bizarre when things go missing. If, like, the police or FBI take something, why does it in some cases, not all the time, mysteriously just disappear? I don't know. So that disappeared. So anyway, there are 3 theories on this, and there is a trigger warning because he does hurt. There is one theory where he hurts himself. So the first theory is that he was on drugs and that perhaps he was hallucinating, doing all these things, whatever. But I feel like with enough, there are people who, like, on threads, who have done psychedelics, who have done drugs, psychedelics wise, and have never hallucinated to that extent. Who knows? But I can see how, like, perhaps what if he did go under a psychosis? Who knows, right? We'll never know. The second part is that maybe he did go on this voyage. The third is maybe he was just using that as a cover-up to unalive himself. And that's why. But that's the thing, though. Like, the weird part of this whole thing, you guys, is that at that blown site, how could a t-shirt survive over shoes? I feel like shoes would last longer than a t-shirt. After all these years, after, like, how many years was it? Like, several years. It was, like, for a very long, I don't remember how many years, but it was like 5 years or something, way more than 5 years, that they found these parts. How would how would a shirt survive over, like, a shoe or a belt? I don't know. Those are things that I think about. Sorry, I know I can go on a rant, but, like, the Taylor Granger story is so fascinating. I should probably do, like, a series on that one, because that one really got to me. But I'll definitely look at the other one too that you mentioned, pizza fries. Have you heard of Centralia, Pennsylvania? It is a town that inspired. I have not. Thank you for that. I'll jot that down for something to look into. I think wasn't that like a link also with the testing of children in telepathy or something like that inspired Stranger Things? Also, the other thing I forgot to mention when I was watching the Taylor Granger documentary, because they interviewed the family, they went to the sister's house. So the sister still lives the parents are passed away now. And the sister owns a house. Taylor's room is still exactly how they left it when he went off and did whatever, right? The other thing is someone called the sister and told her that his sister, okay, so it's going to get confusing. This guy called Taylor's sister, we'll just call Taylor's sister because I don't remember her name right now, Mary, we'll call her Mary. So this guy called Mary, again, I don't remember her name right now, and he was like, hey, the story of your brother really got my attention because my sister had gone missing for a very long time, and she showed up. She doesn't act the same anymore. She used to do, she was a salesperson, came back, and all of a sudden she wanted to do, like, engineering and all these things that, like, was not her before she went missing, and how, like, her whole personality changed and everything. And in a way, he was, like, telling her, like, what if they took him and reprogrammed his thinking? I don't know. Again, this is all alleged. Yeah. Interesting stuff. Thank you for listening to my rants. Oh, gosh. Okie dokie. Taylor Granger. So, I have it up here. Granger. What is my favorite? And hi, Kim loves horror. Thank you. Sorry, I was getting into my rant mode. Thank you, Kim. You guys should check out Kim's stuff. You're a horror lover and everything, so I think it's amazing. But my favorite paranormal experience, geez. Honestly, I think, like, my favorite was when I went to New Orleans. And we got to investigate behind a voodoo shop, and unfortunately, the camera guy was too scared. He was, like, shaking a lot and fidgeting, but we kind of got caught on camera, a ball, like, so it had a toy, like a ball toy. Apparently, like, the spirit of this little girl haunts, like, the second floor of the guest house, and we were calling to her, and the whole night we weren't really getting anything. And on camera, like, I don't know what I was saying to her, but I got a reaction off the K2 meter. That was a really cool experience. Also, it was just a really fun experience because We were investigating with two people that I didn't know, and they were such a sweet couple. How often do you do storytelling? Do you mean like on my lives or just in general? So I do weekly ghost stories or folklore stuff on something scary. And then my lives, I try to do them like once a week. I'm trying to get better at that though. I'm trying to do it more often than once a week. And then I try to repost most of like my lives and everything on YouTube. So just because you could post like the whole hour session on there for right now. So yeah, that's kind of what I do, how my setup is right now. Okay, let's go back to, this one's called Haunt Story. I think it's misspelling. I think it's H. It's supposed to be Haunt Story. But anyway, this one is by, also parentheses, Aunt Kate. The user is They Ruth here, 75. So I love Appalachian stories, especially the scary ones, and I hope this is allowed. If not, please feel free to remove it. A little backstory on my mama. She was in the 6th grade when she left school to go cleaning, basically made for a rich family that lived in Williamson, WV. I'm drawing a blank right now. She was, what, is that Wyoming? Am I like, I'm dumb, you guys, sorry. It's just been a long day. West Virginia. Okay, she was raised, oh, that's too funny. West Virginia, thank you. I was having a very silly moment there. She was raised hard, but was the best woman I've ever known. She instilled in me honesty, work ethic, and many other wonderful things. She left me in 2016, and I miss her very dearly. Here's a little piece of her and other mountain people for you. This story was told in our family when I was growing up. It used to scare me so bad. Anyway, my mama swore it was the truth, and she was not known to tell us lies. And I should know because it was just me and her when I was growing up. Anyway, she was born and raised in a very rural and poor area of West Virginia. Her and her 8 brothers and sisters were very poor. Because of this, and because it was what many country people did, her father raised a garden. Now, my mama nearly idolized her father and would go with him the distance from their house to the garden spot, which is a good piece far off. This required that they push a wagon with wooden wheels past their neighbor's house. My mama was terrified of the old woman that lived beside them. Mama said they called her Aunt Kate. She was older and apparently had cataracts because Mama said her eyes were white. Mama said this particular summer was extremely hot and that she and her father had spent a good bit of time at the garden tending the vegetables and picking what was ready. As they pushed this big wagon up in front of Aunt Kate's house, the old woman came out and yelled, "Harrison, give me some of them beans you got there." Now, this was my great-grandfather. Now, my great-grandfather responded and said, "Kate, we worked hard for these beans and we ain't giving them away." The old woman laughed and said that they would regret their decision. The two proceeded up the hill to their home and went about their chores and other required duties. Mama says she thought nothing more of it until it was time to sleep. According to my mama, with so many kids, some shared the bed and some on the floor where they slept with minimal coverings. Mama said she was drifting off to sleep when she heard someone or something walk towards the room where she was sleeping. Knowing the sounds of the home, she did not recognize who or what it could be. Mama always talked about how her father would tell them stories to scare them into being good. Due to this, she was easily scared. As the walking got closer, she reported covering her head and laying still, terrified of who or what was standing in the doorway. Now, Mama reported that whatever it was would turn and walk out of the room and back down the hallway. This happened all night long. Mama said she lay there all terrified and scared to take her head out from under the blanket. The next morning, as the sun arose, the thing stopped. She stated that she then heard the familiar sound of her father moving quickly to dress. Once she bolstered enough bravery, she immediately darted down the hallway and into the kitchen, where her father was placing green beans into a sack. The two did not speak, but walked quickly out the door and down the hill to Aunt Kate's house with the sack full of beans. Mama said old Aunt Kate was already sitting out in the porch of it, waiting for them to arrive. Her father said, "Old woman, take your booger," which is an Appalachian term for spirit demon, back. And Aunt Kate started laughing and telling them, "Don't worry, Harrison. It won't bother you no more." Mama told other things that Aunt Kate did and alluded to her being someone very familiar with the dark side. Mama was very honest. She was a very Christian lady. Like, I had to go to church every time the doors were open. And I never remember a time where I caught her lie or even heard her curse. And she swore that this was true. Okay, interesting. Who stole my beans? Hi, Spiritual Bombshell. Yes, the Appalachian Mountains. Oh, thank you for the share. I don't know, man. That's interesting. I just think that, like, any story where the invasion of you sleeping at night is so scary. Because, again, it's supposed to be, like, a place where you're, like, vulnerable and supposed to be safe. Okay. So this is another one. This one is called Talk to My Great Aunt on a Ghost App. This is from the user away-significance622. So the app I use, a lot of people are skeptical about. It's called Ghost Hunting Tools, but I'm not so skeptical because of the series of words I got within 20-minute span. I was with my friends camping, A and T and J. That's not going to say the full name, I guess. A is a medium as well as myself, and at the time I wasn't exactly into my spiritual side. And aside from that, A and T were doing double Estes method. Making sure A and T couldn't hear, I yelled loudly, and neither of A or T did a reaction. We then asked them if anyone was there. We got a yes from A and a sure from T. At this time, I have this app open, and the first 6 minutes of the session, I don't get a single word. But the first word that pops up is Sandra. Now, that's my great aunt's legal name. She goes by Sandy. And then A said, "Watching you." I wanted to start crying then, but the next 3 words I got were in a row was face, blanket, and people. And that all showed up within a minute. Her strokes caused her left side of the face to become numb and sag. She had a blanket from her room and in her hospital room, and her siblings and nephews and nieces were there to see her pass away. I'm freaking out at this point because no one knows her real name or about her blanket. Now, A and T ended their spirit box with headphones, but it kept going out loud, which I don't remember what words we got. The next words I got were wish and children. She couldn't have kids of her own, and she raised other people's kids. She wanted her own kids. Then 4 minutes after no activity, we almost pack up when the next word I got was stroke. Now, I'm crying at this point because I know it's her now. As we were saying goodbye, I got the word purple followed by love. Her favorite color was purple. I never got a message from her, but I'm glad I have this app since I can't really hear spirits. That is so interesting. I know there's like a whole controversial thing on apps, but anyway. Yes, I can stay for a little bit, yes. I don't know. I think, here's my thing with apps. I think there's people in the paranormal community or investigation community that are like, apps don't work well, blah, 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 blah. But the reality of it all, like, this is just me. No one knows jack squat on any of that stuff. I actually feel like more of the intuition, emotional side of, like, talking to spirits is way more accurate than I would say even equipment is. So I always just chuckle at people when they're like, apps don't work. And it's like, okay, but, like, there's also ways to debunk ghost equipment. Like, you sound like the same people that debunk ghost equipment in general. So no one knows for sure. It's all energetic. That's just me. But yeah. So that's just me. And like, but then there's also people in the paranormal community that will be like, I don't trust psychic mediums. And it's like, well, I don't trust your equipment either, though. All right. So do you ever get scared at a haunted location? I have. I definitely have. So when I went to the Lexington, I had gone to the Lexington, and that was honestly, like, the tour guide was so sweet. But we went to, like, they allowed us to go to like the jail, like where they would keep captives. Oh, I hated that. That scared me. That really was not fun for me. Oh yeah, I remember you mentioning that automatic sketcher. So I don't know. I think it just depends. I think that I'm not like scared of the entities necessarily. It's more of just like I feel very deeply for the energies there. So like I will cry, I will react to that. Um, it's more so of like the things that I see. So I'm not. It takes me back a little bit, but then I have to recompose myself. Okay. Let me go back. So that one got an upvote. Ooh, okay. This one's a really short one. So this one is called "A Woman in the Road," and it's posted by Komori Komori Kiri. Sorry. Hopefully I said that right. So when I was 9, my grandfather had died. I remember that I had classes, so I'd go to school, and after that, go to the place where he died. At the time, we were three and a half, or three fourths of the quarter of all the road. At the time, we were 3/4 of all the road was late. All the road was, oh, sorry. Most of the, I'll just say it this way. At the time, most of the road was late at night. It was around 10 p.m. It was dark out. It was foggy, and we couldn't see anything beyond 2 meters around us. Therefore, we had to reduce our velocity. We passed through a bridge. It was up a river. And in that bridge, walking to us, was a woman with a white dress, long dark hair. So we couldn't see her face. In the middle of the road, my mom, she was a conductor, dodged her quickly while she got lost into the mist. I really doubt it was a real woman. It was so late and there wasn't any village or anything around. First of all, whether it was a ghost or not, the idea, like, I don't know if you've ever been just like driving out in the middle of nowhere at night and you can't see, but like my biggest fear is like something just popping up out of nowhere, like whether it's a ghost or not. Like that's just like you're driving and something just pops up. Like I do get jumpy. I would be. I don't like spiders. Oh, thank you for the roses. Exactly. Thank you, Spiritual Bombshell, for that. It's definitely more accurate when there isn't a middleman, the app. Um, yeah, that was like biggest, going back on that. So I do consider myself very sensitive to energy. I do consider myself like a medium. But the biggest mistake of this too, like if you are intuitive and you feel like you want to dabble into equipment, I've actually had experiences where I relied on the equipment over my intuition and I was wrong. And I now learned my lesson with that. I have done like automatic writing during like more of my psychic sessions more than like my like haunted investigations. I tend to use like tarot cards and like I love the idea of sitting still and just like coming like feeling what comes to you and like maybe writing it down so you can remember, or like pendulums or tarot cards. I don't know, I just love that stuff. Like for me that's like a space where I can really tune into that. But yeah, man, like I just things pop up is not fun. Some people believe, so I'm looking at the comment section with like the woman on the road, and some people are like maybe it was like a banshee or La Llorona. But that's, I don't know. We'll just upvote that. Okay. We'll do this one. This one is a ghost in my friend's house broke the attic door and scared me to death. This is from Zin Terex, Zinterex. When I was 19, my college friend Jack asked me to take care of his house and pet due to him and his family leaving somewhere. My friend had a normal house which can fit a normal-sized family, and it was on a Sunday. I had nothing to do, so I wanted to help and be a responsible guy. That's a great friend. Thank you for house sitting. They all left the home around 7 p.m., and I began watching some love movies and other things that were displayed on TV by that time. So you mean rom-coms. 5 hours later, the dog started barking, so I thought he wanted to go outside or eat something. I filled his bowl with dog food, which Jack left for me, but he was still barking and even shaking. I opened the door to the yard, and he immediately ran from the house. I guess he just needed to do dog things, so he wasn't outside for the past 5 hours. That's what I thought. I kept watching whatever showed up on the TV. I kind of wanted to sleep, but I couldn't do it for obvious reasons. 2 hours later, I ran to the yard door to let the dog in. I felt bad that he was there the whole time while I forgot about him. He was sleeping under a small tree like nothing. The night was cold, so I was very surprised. I took the dog inside by force, and when he suddenly started barking and shaking so hard that he got out of my arms and ran back to the yard where he became more peaceful. Later on, the attic door shut with a huge force that I thought that they actually broke that. And I was thinking to myself, am I in trouble for ruining the house? But after a second, I realized, who could have done that? Now, I went upstairs just to see the broken doors, which were barely holding up. I was about to come down when they started to close and open by itself really fast, and that's when I freezed. The noise was so loud that the dog started barking even louder from outside. I ran downstairs to the yard and opened them as fast as I could, and I ran outside and hid in the bushes. The dog was still barking for like 5 minutes while I managed to smoke 3 cigarettes in that time. I spent the rest of the night outside without any jacket or a sweater with the dog. When Jack came home around 8 a.m., I showed him what had happened last night, knowing that I'm in huge trouble for not filling him in. He reacted without any anger or something. He looked more worried than angry when I told him what happened. Now, finally he explained that his uncle died and they were going to another state for the funeral. The house was built by him years before, so I guess he just wanted to say goodbye to his old place. I also realized that the dog wanted to warn me as he felt bad energy in the house. Okay. Here are a couple things. Well, okay. I would have not stayed out the whole night. That's just me. I would have taken the dog and I would have drove to my house and been like, peace out. I'll see you at 8 a.m. But then the other thing is, I don't feel like it was the uncle. Just because, like, why, if the uncle built the house and, like, wanted to say goodbye, wouldn't he have done it when the family was all there? That's just me. So yeah, that's the only thing that I'm kind of like, and also if a spirit was so attached to the house and building the house, they wouldn't break the house. And the dog, I don't think like the dog would react scared like that, in my opinion. But you never know. Thank you for the share. I try not to reread the same ones, but who knows? Okay. I think when pets react to like haunted things, that is way more confirmation than a lot of things. But, you know, that's just me. Don't mind me, I'm gonna get a swig of water. There it is. I'm like, where's my music? Or my background sound? Okay. So this one is this one's called Reading and Talking About the Paranormal Can Give Spirits the Energy to Interact with Us. A theory I have been tinkering with, and I'll explain. So this is what they're saying. Maybe this might be a good conversation starter. I don't know. So this is posted by Hugh_Janus. All right. So I used to have tons of little paranormal experiences up until I turned 18, and then they had just stopped. And nothing for nearly 20 years. So then about 6 months ago, I started getting super interested in the paranormal again, and I've either been reading people's experiences or listening to podcasts, and things have started to happen again. I believe the more attention you give to the paranormal, even indirectly by reading about others' experiences, can give them enough energy to interact with you. Some backstory before I get into my last happenings. I started dating my ex-wife in 2009, and we moved into our house in 2010 through 2011. Her family owned it before us, so she grew up in it basically. They've always believed that there was a presence in the house, but apart from a dumb teenage girl moment with a friend claiming to be sensitive, or another girl claiming to see something, no real experiences have ever happened. But as adults, we moved in. We always sensed something was there. Not really malevolent, but powerful enough of a presence to put you and sometimes also company at unease. But for literally a decade, zero actual experiences, nothing unexplainable. And even when talking about the paranormal and even making jokes and subconsciously trying to stir something up out of sheer curiosity. So then in 2020, we separated and I moved out. Oh, sorry, am I missing something? Okay, cool. In this new place, I occasionally feel a small presence. I chalk it up to either imagination or maybe there's someone watching over me. Who really knows what there is? We can only speculate. Now, cut to 6 months ago when I start to get super drawn to the paranormal again, I began reading people's stories literally every night in bed as I wind down to sleep. In my story, before I shared here my experiences with the Black Horseman, I mentioned when I talked about the paranormal, it seemed to, as I call it, stirring shit up. As in, if you give them attention, they could feed off the energy enough to react with you somehow. Now that I'm giving more attention to this world we know so little about, once again, it seems the same thing is happening all over again. I'm starting to feel the presence much stronger, weird for sure, but I continue. Then around October, I have a new experience. I was in the basement bedroom, only 2 floors, and the stairs are ridiculously loud. You can always hear them, even over the TV or music. Even when you try to be sneaky, they're just so damn loud. One morning at about 6:18 a.m., I remember exactly because my morning ritual is I wake up before any other roommate and get dressed, relax on the couch, playing on my phone until 6:30, and then I walk out to leave for work. All before any roommate wakes up for their routine. I'm in my room, sitting on the couch, looking at my phone, waiting on time to leave. There's dead silence in the entire house. Sitting on the couch in my room, facing my open bedroom door, suddenly I hear the loud, creaky stairs as something slowly walks down to the basement. All 13 steps. I think this is very odd. As I watch the doorway into the hall, there's no reason for anyone upstairs to come down here. They have their own bathroom up there and nobody gets up before me. But I think maybe it's a roommate coming up to talk to me before I leave. So I wait about 1 to 2 minutes. There are no sounds, no lights. Then the same loud steps back upstairs. The weird part is that if anyone is walking upstairs, I hear them at all times. The floor is so loud and creaky, so if someone goes upstairs, you immediately hear them when they walk away as well. So this time immediately silent after the stairs are up, or after they go up the stairs, which is impossible. I even tested it with my roommate later that day. I also came home, I asked each roommate if they were up during that specific time frame, and they were not. I did everything in my power to explain it away. There is zero logic to disprove it. I tried. So the next experience. So myself and my ex-wife, are still friends. She is still in our old house. We're getting ready to sell it and move to another state. Her new state with her new boyfriend and I to my home state. So we decided that since her roommates are moving out and we have to work to get it ready, we have to work to remodel it to sell, I would move back in since I'd be there so often. Immediately, the presence in the house is stronger than I ever felt it before. Every night, I'm still reading and listening to stories and podcasts in bed, getting very creeped out. Dumb and brave, I continue anyway. One evening, I go with my ex-wife to help the janitorial service at church for a mutual friend, which she does this for an occasion. She's been doing this for many months and asked me to come along this time because she hates going there alone because she thinks it's haunted and she gets very spooked out. There's a specific room she hates and feels like there's always a presence in the room and it makes her extremely uneasy. Now, a friend was hanging out with us and decided to tag along. So we get there and she asks me to handle the room because I don't rattle very easily. So she's in the bathrooms. The friend is just standing in the hallway talking to us. I'm in the hallway, running an extension cord, and I walk past the door to the particular room. Now I look at her friend as she turns sheet white, like very pale white, and says as I walk past it, the door slowly opened. Even though it was locked, I literally just barely asked my wife to unlock it for me so I could vacuum it, so I know for a fact it was locked. It opens. Take that as you will, just a door coming unlatched or paranormal, but it felt unlikely it was just unlatched as it was a heavy solid built door with a sturdy lock. They lock every door in church for whatever reason. Anyway, I tried recording some audio in the room alone a couple times, hoping to catch something, but I captured nothing so far. I keep trying whenever I get a chance. I also say you're not allowed to follow us home Every time I leave, you're not allowed to feed off our energy either. So this is all before we leave the church every time. Dang, this person has a lot of experiences. Sorry. Hope we're all following along here. This is the third experience. First week of December, my ex-wife has gone out of town with the new boyfriend, leaving me all alone in the house. A buddy of mine who is pretty sensitive to spirits is also visiting, and we end up talking about the paranormal, and I bring up the strong presence, which has been feeling significantly stronger since being alone. He mentions that he felt something watching us from the kitchen the whole time that evening and nervously changed the subject. That night, I go to bed, read stories here and there, get spooked, get sleepy, put my phone on the charger, turn off the lights, and lay down. So I'm very much still awake after only about a minute or two since turning off the lights when I feel something clear as day pat on the bed next to my foot, as if someone took their open palm and firmly went pat, pat, pat. I most definitely am alone in this house, and there's no way it was a person. I calmly said, "Do not mess with me while I'm in bed, and you are not allowed to feed up my energy. Please respect my home and my boundaries." And I try not to freak out. I tucked the blanket under my body as if it was a protective shield and eventually went to bed. After that, I don't read spooky stories anymore. The shit needs to calm down. I'm at least not home alone. But here I am, typing this at midnight when I should be going to sleep. Home alone still. So I guess we'll see if I have another report soon. So I've often heard that theory of like indulging in scary things like paranormal, like scary movies, it triggers things. I genuinely think it depends on the person. I genuinely do. I think that because, okay, I've worked with people who are skeptical and truly want to have an experience. They will read ghost stories, they will entertain that, they will go to haunted locations, but they don't believe in ghosts, but they're wanting to have an experience to believe in ghosts. And some people never get that experience. I have a friend of mine that he basically films a bunch of paranormal shows for the Travel Channel. He is a skeptic. He doesn't believe much in ghosts. Now, he's had maybe one or two like odd experiences, but not enough for him to like believe in things. So I don't think all paranormal, if you indulge in that, it opens something up. I don't believe in that. I think it really is all your intention. I think that like this person here clearly had an experience in the past and then started revisiting the paranormal again. And I think that in doing so, it may have like aware of like odd things in his surroundings, or maybe look for things that are there, or maybe, I don't know. I think that's just depends on the person, to be honest. Have you ever read Dear David? I think I have, actually. Let me double check. It's been a minute, but I'm pretty sure I have. It's just been a long time. Dear David. I know I read a few forever ago. But it's not popping up on the top of my Reddit anymore. Oh, bummer. I don't see it up here. Sometimes it pops up on like the thread. Oh, Colin Casper. Colin Casper. But yeah, I don't think that like, I don't believe in the whole like, oh, if you do enough of this, it'll open up things or you'll have more experiences. I really just think it depends on the person. I really do. Okay, first of all, wait, sorry, what happened? You said something happened. I only saw the 8 feet tall. I know they're check my window. Oh my, I saw Kim love horror movies. I saw my sister's husband father check in on him after he passed away, and I could see him out of the corner of my eye. Oh my gosh. Yes, I am going to, film for the Mysteries Decoded show next month. I can't say much from that, but I imagine that there will be like some haunted places, and for the most part, they do try to get me to do things by myself. Po, scare me to play. Sometimes like sounds are just scary, right? Dear David, I don't know if I can find it. Bummer. Why I can't find the Dear David story. Oh, I think I know that one. I don't know if I... Oh, yeah, this one. Maybe I could do like a story in it sometime soon, like a TikTok story in it. I think I read this one a long time ago, though. Yeah, it's 2017, so it had been a while. Not Spirit Squad. I haven't heard... No, not from Spirit Squad. It's, so it's really weird because, so Mysteries Decoded and Spirit Squad are like sister shows, I would say. So I actually filmed an episode for Mysteries Decoded it was in December. Yeah, last month. Early of December. I filmed an episode with them. And so I was like a co-host guest for that with Jen. So Jen is like the main host of that show. And she's a skeptic too. So that's what I was saying. Like there's some people that just like are surrounded by paranormal things, but they don't have experiences. But that's also another, I can also go down the rabbit hole with that. I also think, so I'm going to film another episode with them next month. So I'll be on 2 episodes of the latest season of Mysteries Decoded. So when that comes out, I'll be excited. When I hear more of Spirit Squad, I'll also be happy to share that as well. If you guys haven't seen that, it's on the CW app. So if you go to the CW app and watch Mysteries Decoded presents Spirit Squad, you'll probably see it. I feel like they did a great job with putting everything together. We were there for like 3 days. So that was fun. We did an investigation at the Adobe Leonis in Calabasas, California. So for those people that don't know what I'm talking about. But yeah, can't wait to post more on Mysteries Decoded. But I don't think I'm allowed to say too much on that yet. We'll see. All right, so that was interesting. Very long. That was a very long story. Okay, so I'll read another one. Let me just get another sip of water. Jeez. Okay, so this one is called a poltergeist ? Ghost ? Or demon ? And it is from the user sensitive_class_3306. Hello, Mama Laurie. So I've been getting a lot of weird ghost, demonic, experiences starting since I was 4 years old. I remember talking to an entity crying. But now at 23 years old, I've had 3 experiences in the last 2 years. The most recent are weird as hell during my sleep. One night I had my ex-boyfriend sleep over at my apartment, and mind you, I've been having weird experiences in that apartment, but I tried to ignore the feelings. I was sleeping on my side facing the wall away from him during my sleep, and I felt something pull my hair back. And immediately I thought it was him and woke up, but with the same grip of hair being pulled back, it started to whip my hair side to side violently and really wake me up. I then tried to turn around to my ex-boyfriend to see what the hell is going on. But then the minute I turn and get to lay on my back, I immediately was pinned down by my wrist and thrown into sleep paralysis. I've seen the figures sitting on me, on my face, like a witch. I can only remember the hands and long, sharp nails after fighting to wake up and to get out of its grip. I remember I'm able to get out, but I'm able to get up and move and turn on the lights. Okay, so neither him or my cat are awake, but both are in deep sleep, and I'm very shaken up. I even started crying, and recently, literally yesterday, something simultaneously happened with me and my best friend. We are currently on a Washington, D.C. trip and stayed at the Days Inn on Bragg Street. We both were asleep, and I was on my side sleeping when I woke up out of nowhere and saw a tall, large black figure creeping up towards me from the corner of the bed, the corner end of the bed. I'm so sleepy, I can't really comprehend what the heck is going on, and I make a moaning, annoyed sound and turn the other way to see my friend half awake, shining a light in my direction. I become at ease because she is awake. I thought she had the light on because I made a sound, but later on we wake up and I asked if we can talk about what happened. I asked her if she had the light on me because I gruntled so loud. She said she was facing away from me but was awakened because she felt something watching her and shined a light in the direction after seeing me on the bed and a figure near me thinking it was an intruder. So she didn't see anyone shine the light though. That all played out as I watched it creep toward me before turning my back on it. We were both woken up by the same entity and experienced it simultaneously. I was relieved it wasn't just me, but now I'm convinced that all this shit is really real. Same day, an hour later at 4 a.m., I was trying to be loud and unfearful, saying I believe in Christ, blah, 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 bless you, while on the toilet and the shower curtain aggressively moved above. Oh, wait. I was saying all this stuff and the shower curtain moved aggressively above me. There was no fan, no nothing. I hopped up mid-peen and ran out. This is some crazy stuff, but I just thought I would share this because I don't see much of these hauntings. Shit's fucking real, man. Completely sober, both in experiences. Oh my God. No way. Yes, so for Spirit Squad, Sarah was the one that, like, the story, yeah, so Sarah was the one that reached out to both myself and Brittany. Oh, I'm so sorry, Mallory, that you're having bad internet. Hopefully you can get that figured out. Okay, that's interesting. I think that, like, okay, so I used to always be kind of like in the middle. So when I was getting into like the whole believing into ghosts and like the paranormal, because keep in mind, like when I was in my early 20s and like late teens, I was like an atheist, skeptical person. I did not believe in ghost or anything like that. And so when I was finally like becoming more open-minded to like the paranormal and all of that stuff, I used to hear these stories of like the bed shaking, things being moved and all that. And I honestly, like, that was one of the things I had a hard time believing in. I don't know why, but anyway. And it was interesting because I had a good friend of mine who, like, okay, so backstory. When I was in high school, I had a friend of mine pass away. She died in a plane crash. And she had a friend of hers that she grew up with, and I never knew her very well in high school, but oddly enough, we both found ourselves in Denver, like through Facebook. And that friend reached out to me, so I went to her house, and we were talking about like this friend that passed away. And like she took me to the basement, and it was really fun setup. But one thing that like I could not like ignore from the basement was that there was this sink, but it looked like those old school like ice, you know, like in the ice cream parlors, they have like the little like or like little bar. I don't know how to explain it, but you can tell that it used to be like an ice cream shop. And there was like this like big it was like a switch that you would like obviously move down, and it would like either dispense like the drink or whatever. And anyway, she said to me that it is heavy too. Like I had a hard time moving it. She said that she was sitting in the basement by herself one day, and that thing turned by itself. And the way she said it, I believed her. Like, she didn't seem like someone that would just make that shit up. So, I don't know. And apparently that house was set up in a way that, like, the top floor was, like, where the residents lived, and, like, the basement used to be, like, the ice cream parlor / bar or something like that. So I live in LA, and I am really grateful that I have not been on the end of like the flooding. It has been raining though. It's been very like just rainy, cloudy weather out here, but not so bad. So yeah, it's been kind of full-see, you know. I've never seen this much rain. But yeah. Okay, that was interesting. The poltergeist story, though. Let me see if I can get into another like cryptid thread. I really liked that, the cryptid one. That is a scary image. Okay, give me 1 second, guys, while I find the cryptid thread. We'll just join that one. No, I can't find it. Okay, the cryptid thing is so different. I used to live in Colorado. I moved out about a year ago now at this point, but I miss it. I miss it so much. I love Colorado. I would go there again. I've always heard from people that this is what a lot of people have told me. Once you go to Colorado and you move to Denver, it's like a magnet. You end up going back, and I kind of believe that because even though I've been here in LA for about a year, I was born in LA. My family lives in LA. I really miss Denver so much. I really, really do. So we'll see. I don't know what the future holds, but I'm liking being in LA, but I don't know. I just love Colorado. Oh wow, Fort Collins. Oh my God, it's amazing. I think I've been to Fort Collins a few times. I had friends out there. But yeah, I love Colorado. I would totally go out there. I would love to go out there. I miss it so much. I also feel like the spiritual community out there is a lot more tight-knit. Like being here for about a year, I'm like, oh man, it's hard to like meet people. It feels all like very surface level. Not all of them, but it's like a lot of these communities are very surface level, very like I get some elitist vibes from some people. Maybe I just haven't found the right people. I've only been here for about a year, so. But yeah, fun stuff. Okay. The Haunted Writer. All right, so this one's called The Haunted Writer, and it's by Realist Hater with an 8. So H-E-E-R. My team was contacted by a writer who claimed to be experiencing a haunting from one of his lead characters. The haunting was witnessed by multiple people, including his wife, children, 4 neighbors, and his mailman. The main haunting was centered around the writer who we felt had put himself in character so much. This is a fairly common occurrence. When someone is so constantly working on developing a character, be it an actor, writer, person who over-identifies with a fictional character. What was strange about this was that first it was his family, then friends, neighbors, and finally a postman met the character. The writer began having experiences of the character, which we call Dawn, actually talking to him and helping him with the book. He said that Dawn provided information such as looks, traits, and how he would respond in a given situation. All of that can easily be explained by the writer getting too much into character and losing his personal perspective. Where it got strange was when the writer's wife and children began to experience Dawn in real-life situations. The wife met Dawn at the grocery store when he approached her and began flirting. She met him again in a coffee shop. Guys, I don't know what the hell is going on with this, but we're going into it. What is this all part of the experience? Okay, whatever, we'll read this. Maybe he's talking about the storyline. Okay, so we were able to verify this through the kids and the 2 parents who were there and gave permission to pay for their kids' ice cream as well. One of the parents had extended the conversation with him about current events. The neighbor asked the writer how long Dawn would be visiting out of the blue. Eventually, Dawn had met them out in their yard and accepted when they invited him over for coffee. He had even shared anecdotes from their college days, including what a player the writer was, and what a nice car he had. The information turned out to be accurate and somewhat embarrassing for the writer. Finally, the mailman mentioned to the writer's wife that Dawn had offered him a cold bottle of water that previous day when he delivered their mail. With all this adding up, the writer called us to investigate. As we stated, we were only able to verify all of the things through first-person interviews. We conducted a complete investigation with no results. Performed secondhand investigation in a home with the writer present and did get some strange results. We all heard Dawn call the writer from the computer room while we were all in the living room. We all got anonymous readings on the mel meter, as well as fluctuations in temperature. At one point, we also smelled clove cigarettes, which Dawn smoked in the book. Nothing was conclusive, though, as to what exactly the phenomenon was and what we were dealing with. It continued for 7 months. After we were notified, during which the time was conducted 3 more investigations and interviewed everyone who reportedly had experience with Dawn. All the phenomenon came to an abrupt halt when the writer, out of sheer desperation, killed off Dawn in the book. There have been no more experiences or signs of Dawn since then. Okay, what is this? There are some, yes, I think towards the end of it all, I was like, I'm ready to just get away from Colorado because of some of the people, yes. So what's interesting about the story, so basically, if I'm hearing this correctly, was that this whole family, including the mailman, saw this entity. And they went to investigate the house. And they did get some things, but not enough that was, like, conclusive. Here's my theory with this. And I could be wrong. This is just my theory. I could be completely wrong when it comes to, like, all this stuff. Because, again, no one knows. No one knows anything. What I will say is I feel like I've seen these experiences where people go to places or, I don't know, like, they'll give a name. And so many people want to believe that there's a spirit with that name that I think that a lot of energy feeds into that. And at the end of the day, like, sometimes, because I've also heard the theory of, like, you never want to name a spirit a name because anything can come in and, like, mask as that. And it could be, like, not a spirit. It could be more than just spirit. It could be, like, an entity or something. Part of me kind of believes in that. And then the other hand, too, is, like, I think that people, because, again, we're so intuitive, I almost think that, like, because we badly want to believe in something, we can also manifest things. That's another thing. But I don't know. I could be wrong in that. I could be wrong. Yeah, see, someone said manifestation. I'm surprised I've not heard of these situations before. That could be it, too. Which is interesting. I don't know. That's an interesting one. I really want to find a cryptid story, and I cannot. Every time, I'm like, what the heck? Okay, here we go. Did I find a thread? I can find... Okay, I'm gonna attempt to show you the image. This is like, they say that this is like a Bigfoot on a saucer or something. The Flying Man. Okay, we'll read this. What the heck did I just bump into? What was that? The Flying Man at the Castile, similar to Bigfoot riding 3 spheres. So recently there was a post regarding Bigfoot riding on 3 red spheres. Seeing this brought to mind a case mentioned in June of 1987. It was on the edition of Flying Saucer Review. Flying Saucer Review was highly regarded as a British ufological magazine, first published in 1955 and lasted well into the 2000s. Okay, so in brief, the incident happened in November of 1974 near the Italian village of Castellio in the province of Romagna. Right? Am I saying that right? Or Romagna. The witness was Signorina Giovina Cinsoli, aged 42. At approximately 5:30 p.m., Signorina was in her yard attending to her animals and chickens and rabbits, and struck by their sudden, panicked, and terrified behavior. She noticed that some of the fowls were Some of the fowls were looking up. Instinctively, she did as well. I saw hanging in the air above the house a rooftop height, and about 4 meters from me was a man who was seated on a box that was swinging to and from and was looking around as though seeking something. He was big, about 2 meters in height, and dressed in very shining one-piece garment with green and red white markings, and in a pair of skiing boots with square toes and square heels. His features seemed to be so dark, but a helmet with a visor covered his face. I only managed to see the eyes more or less like ours, and to tell you the truth, we gazed at each other for a brief instant. This man was hanging there in the air above the house, rocking to and from, with one foot stretched down towards the roof as though he wanted to support himself on it. From the box, which was about 50 centimeters deep and about the same width, I don't know how long, there was a rod sticking up with colored stripes. It must have been the control handle for the motor and gave him a sharp hum that I could hear clearly. After seeing this person, Signorina Sensoli called for her mother to no reply. Upon hearing her shouts, the man moved away to the east. Following, Signorina Sensoli looked in the direction the man was looking and saw a very vivid light, as well as a big full moon coming from the north. Overcome by a wave of heat, the whole area around the house was lit up like bright daylight. She approached the man once again, who was gesturing incomprehensibly. A few instants later, he departed eastward with the light, following a distance behind him. The whole incident had lasted 15 minutes or so. What the heck? Whoa. What the heck? That's wild. And like the imagery, I'm still with this. Like the imagery is getting to me. I have to show you. I have to show you again. Like, what? Do you see the box? Oh my God. Oh gosh. That was wild. Hi. Well then, that is so interesting. I'm gonna have to give this an upvote. Let me see. This one's called Bigfoot on Spheres. I'm sorry, but like I can't. When you put the image together, it makes it that much wild. Okay, so this one's called Quite Possibly the Strangest Bigfoot UFO Sighting I've Ever Read About. The man saw a Bigfoot seated on 3 red spheres with a dead dog attached to them with a rope. What? What is... Look at this. Just... They photoshopped that. It's not... Yeah, obviously it's not the real thing. Okay, so... Oops, let me put this back in. Okay, so it says... A man reported seeing a Bigfoot-like creature on 3 glowing metallic red balls hovering over the freeway about 75 yards in the air. The witness slowed his vehicle to about 10 miles per hour to get a better view when the figure began to fly north across the wheat field. He could see the back of the creature, and it was solid black. With that appeared to be a suit or a hairy cloak, sitting on what appeared to be 3 spheres connected together. These large, round, ball-shaped objects had a candy apple metallic glow to them. Shocked, he pulled over, and you could see what appeared to be a dead dog. Possibly a black and white Sheltie, hanging from the left side of his vehicle on a rope. The figure then flew across the field towards Smith Road. The witness jumped in his car and sped northeast to Sapoli Road, where he turned and proceeded to speed about 70 miles per hour and toward Smith Road. He got there, turned left, cutting the figure off so he could see it better. At this point, it realized the witness was following it and turned and flew more west from which it came. He could not get in a position to see it after that. What? Okay, that's wild. That is so wild. I don't even... And then someone said, Jude reported that knowing it would make him sound crazy as fuck. That's what I'm saying. Like, I feel like whether we think it's crazy or not, like, it takes that much bravery to, like, report something like that. Like, some of these experiences, like you know no one's gonna believe you. I don't know. And I get it. I mean, when I first was like, oh yeah, no one's gonna believe me about my, like, ghost experiences. Obviously, this is more out there. This probably arguably could sound more out there than, like, what I'm talking about. Okay. Let's see what else is on this thread. I feel like this kind of changed the curve a little bit when I found this thread. Let's see. I still don't know how I feel about Bigfoot. I lived in Minnesota. I lived in Minnesota. I lived in Colorado for 10 years. I've done a lot of hikes up there. I don't know. I don't know about the whole Bigfoot thing. I don't want to say I don't believe in it, because clearly I try to be open-minded to people's experiences, but yeah, I don't know, man. The whole Bigfoot thing. But who knows? All right, so this one's called, so I'm on the high strangeness subreddit thread. So this one's called Grandma's Psychic Vision. So although this didn't happen to me, I was a witness to the whole experience. The story, it was not unusual for my grandmother to have psychic experiences. My mom and I lived with her in a haunted house at the time. I was probably 12 or 13 years old. That day my grandmother took a nap, which was unusual for her. We were in the kitchen when she came out of her bedroom looking very worried. She said that while she was sleeping, she had woken up to find a man who looked a lot like Jesus standing at the foot of her bed. He told her that 3 bad things would happen in the family soon and close together. He said that she needed to be strong for the family and that everything would be all right. She said to lay back down and continue to nap. We were in the kitchen when she came out looking worried. She told us that the man said that there was much speculation about what would happen. Never did it cross anyone's mind that my grandmother had just been dreaming. She had a history predicting events very correctly. At the end of the church, the priest asked the congregation to pray for a family whose son had been injured in Vietnam. It turned out it was my cousin. His boat was blown up and he had lost a leg. Number 2, we got a call from another cousin from the other side of the family. Their oldest son had died 2 weeks before he was due to come home. He had been driving a big tractor-type machine and it rolled over him. Number 3, my grandmother's sister had a heart attack and had to retire. She recovered and came to live with us. All these events happened within 3-month period. As a family, we were prepared and no one went off to the deep end. My mother was the backbone and source of strength for everyone. Interesting. That's interesting. I don't know. Was not expecting that one. I think that, like, my sister has had dreams. Like, she's had dreams where things happen. The most common one, like the ones like I've told a few times, is she had a dream that when she was in high school, she had a dream that her friend's grandfather, right? Either dad or grandfather passed away. And then a week later, he passed away in a car accident. He got in a car accident and passed away or something like that. She told her friend in high school too before it happened, and then it happened, and yeah. And her friend was like weirded out by my sister too, telling her this, and like, how did you know that? And my sister's like, I don't know, I had a dream. But yeah, interesting stuff. Okay, so speaking of Colorado, this is an interesting one. I have the book called Weird Colorado behind me, and it's always been about like cattle mutilations. Yeah, she had premonitions. Yeah, my sister, and like, well, that story, but also the one that I just read was about premonitions. My sister has had premonitions before. But I feel like a lot of different people in my family have had premonitions. Like so I've been going through like just a very like interesting thing with my family right now. Like, not interesting, but like just tragic, I would say. But in short, my aunt had a dream that they brought a spiritual dead person home. It was a spirit of a dead man, not the dead man. And turns out a week later, she gets a phone call that her brother was found unconscious on the side of the road with severe head injuries, and he's in the hospital in a coma right now. Oh, it's no worries. Thanks, Chris, for joining. But yeah, so it's interesting. I feel but yeah, my family definitely has dreamers all around with premonitions. I think that if you are wanting to tap into your intuition, having a journal with your dreams, a dream journal, is so helpful. I never thought I would have premonitions in my dreams. I always felt like that wasn't my skill set. And for a while there, I started jotting down things in a dream journal. And then 6 months later, I would go back and read these entries. And some of the stuff made way more sense months later down the road in ways that I never thought was possible. I think you also get to understand the symbolism, how your brain works with symbolism. And that really helps with intuition and gut feelings and stuff. That's a piece of advice if I can give anyone. Okay, so speaking of Colorado and the weird stuff, this is called from the same thread. 8 pregnant cows stolen from a ranch in Colorado early December. Now, keep in mind, you guys, if you don't live in Colorado or if you're not into the paranormal or any of that phenomenon stuff, Colorado has had weird stuff with cow mutilations. And in a way that it's very precise, really eerie. There's I have a book again. I did a story, a few of them, maybe I can repost them, on people's experiences with cow mutilations. It's the weirdest thing ever. I know other states have this strange phenomenon, but I don't know what other states. I know Colorado is one of them, though. All right. So anyway, so this is what they said, and the user is Parasite11. Maybe this isn't high strangeness, but is something that I have been following since I heard about. It happened last month, and apparently nobody has been caught yet. I think it's strange that 80 cows, pregnant, go missing, and as the articles seem to imply, without much evidence of who or what stole them. The rancher himself said, "The corrals are visible from a house, sort of," he said. If I looked up there at night and someone had lights on, I'd see it. Of course, we had a full moon several weeks ago, and you don't need lights if you have that. They also came during a strong wind event that blew away any tracks. I wouldn't be surprised if they planned it for both of those. This is obviously the most plausible explanation, but I think it's fun to entertain the idea that this was perhaps a mass cattle abduction mutilation event. Pulling off 80 cattle heists is a pretty good job, or pretty big job. I understand that there are some extremely remote parts of Colorado, where are you taking all these pregnant cattle? And the fact is that they were all pregnant. We all know that in the UFO lore, aliens love all things genetics with breeding. Anyway, here's a link to the article I'll be following for the story until the human culprits are caught. Isn't that weird, you guys? Hey, Katie, no, Katie. Sorry, my cat's trying to open up the closet again. Katie. Oh, stop it. Stop it. That's weird. I'm going to bookmark this because now I want to do a story on that. Where did 80 pregnant cows go? Where did 80 pregnant cows go? Isn't that strange? I think I found my new favorite thread other than the ghost stories thread, you guys. Okay. All right, let me keep going. So this is a question they have, and I don't know. About Friday the 13th. Sure, feel free to write any stories. You can write to me on Instagram, email me, or tell that here, whatever's easy for you. No pressure. Okay, so someone asked a question, and it's from Control with zeros, Controlled Substance. Are coincidences not really coincidental at all? Ever thought of someone you haven't seen in a while, then suddenly you run into them? Or someone you haven't spoken to in a very long time, and then all of a sudden they call you or text you? Are these things pure chance? If so, what are the odds? Or is there any other explanation? Here are a few of mine. A year ago, I was experiencing seizures from a medication I was taking and having I was having a very hard time sleeping. I'd finally fallen asleep and had a dream about a girl named Angie who I had not spoken to or had contact with in years. I woke up abruptly in fear of having a seizure, and upon lying there, wait for a moment, my phone rang, and guess who it was? It was Angie. Number 2. I had a period I was dreaming of random numbers. It was so frequent that I began writing them down. I joked with a coworker of mine that maybe they were lottery numbers. Well, one night I had a dream of the number 12, and the next morning at work I joked with my coworker saying I had another number dream. He looked at me and said, "Was it the number 12?" And it was. Interesting. Okay. I actually find that stuff super fascinating, like coincidental things where you think of someone and they call you, where you think of something and it's there. I've had several of these moments in the past where I will think of someone, they'll either call me, they'll text me or whatever. And I think that's all, again, going back to what I've said a couple times in my past lives, people tend to think that like psychic mediums or not, well, mediums are talking to the dead. We'll talk about psychics. Psychic in general, psychic abilities are like this special, you need to be like a special person to have psychic abilities. And I feel like everyone has them. And I think that's part of it, like that, where you think you'll be thinking of somebody and yeah, you'll be thinking of that person and they'll text you or call you. I think that is part of intuition. But again, because psychicship in media and cinema has been over sensationalized, people don't think of it in like those terms. So yeah, that's kind of like how, yeah, interesting. Like that's how it can work. Let's see. Okay. Anyway, so yeah, that's just like my theory with it. Or, when there is a person who was talking about this where they used to sleep in all these public locations when they were in college, and they would wake up because they felt like someone was watching them, and they would turn and it was like a friend of them, like staring at them sleep or something like that. Again, those are things that in a way like your intuition just kicks in. But yeah, thank you for the compliment. All right. So this one is called, "Do you believe in previous lives?" Here is my experience, and this is also from the same person, Controlled Substance, with the zeros. So my cousin, who we will call Heather, F, had a first daughter we will call Allison. Heather is a personal trainer, never has done drugs, never has been in any kind of trouble, college graduate, loving and nurturing mother. Her husband is also a neurosurgeon, also very loving, protective father. Since the birth of Allison, it was noticed by everyone that she was extremely distraught when near closets. This also started immediately when brought home and before being verbal. At first, no one would thought anything of it, right? It was just a baby being a baby. However, as she became more and more verbal, she would scream, "No!" and such when approaching a closet. Finally, when Allison was old enough to express herself, the question was asked, "What is it that you're so scared of in the closet?" Naturally, it was an expected answer of monsters or something of that sort. However, the response was quite more disturbing. Allison replied, "When I was alive before, with a different mommy and daddy, they didn't like me, so they locked me in the closet. And I was so hungry, I had to eat the paint, and it made me sick, and I died." She was not exposed to conversations of death or experiencing starvation or anything of that sort. So it really blew my family away. That was her answer. What are your thoughts with this? Oh my God. Dang. That is wild. Oh my gosh. Again, I know we talked about this before where like past lives and reincarnation stories are so fascinating. So fascinating when it's always children that are talking about this stuff. I don't know, just like gives me the heebie-jeebies. It's stuff like this that like really makes me question that stuff. Let me see what they said in the comment thread. Okay, so this is what someone said. As other commenters have said, this is not uncommon. You can find thousands of such reports. Children knowing or saying things they couldn't have possibly ever known at their very young age, or even if they were older, because of whatever information had to do with their geographical areas and also times had no prior knowledge of. The late Dr. Ian Stevenson wrote several books on the subject, one which is called Children Who Remember Previous Lives. We'll have to look into that, huh? We'll have to do more readings on that, right? Someone said, oh wow, Kim loves horror movies. 45. I had a dream about my mother. She passed and was comforting a man who was about to pass. She was happy, crying, and told him how beautiful heaven was. Oh my gosh, chills. Isn't that interesting? Okay. No, thank you for sharing that. Like, chills. Okay, so someone in the thread, Unicorn Birth, says, when my son was 3 and I was pregnant with his baby sister, he said similar things about himself and his sister. I was folding laundry in my bedroom, and my husband was playing around with our son on our bed, and my husband asked our son if he was excited to meet his baby sister. So now know that my son is 3 years old and has a slight speech delay. Oops. Where are we? So he could talk and say words, but he wasn't too great at full-on sentences just yet. He replied to my husband and said, oops, sorry guys. So he could talk and say words, but he wasn't so great at full sentences yet. He replied to my husband saying that he already met her. He was just waiting. My husband asked him what he meant, and my son went on a story about how before we were his parents, he had other parents who were really mean to him and his little sister. At this point in the story, my son started sobbing, like a genuine grieving sob, coming from my normally incredibly upbeat 3-year-old. He went on to say that they hurt his arms really bad and her head. And that after she stopped moving, they went on to hurt him. Y'all, even just typing this is making me cry right now. He's 5 now and says he doesn't remember any of this, but I remember it really freaking me out. He also used to constantly ask me where his baby sister was before I even knew I was pregnant with her. It trips me out because she was incredibly hard baby too. She was an incredibly hard baby too. She only slept in my arms and would literally scream at the top of her lungs for hours if she wasn't in my arms. I don't know if any of this is true or if it's just a scary story he was telling us, but I definitely appreciate the living hell out of my kids, and I'm trying my hardest to be a good parent. Ugh! It's cold in here. I'm getting the chills. I really am. It also, like, breaks my heart. Like, Jesus. See, like, stories like that, like, if reincarnation isn't real, what is that? Alright. Sorry that you get to hear me, like, eat away. But I'm gonna end this live. I have to get up early tomorrow. I have to go to the doctor tomorrow. The doctors, yay, please wish me luck. Please wish me luck tomorrow. I'm actually very nervous to go tomorrow to the doctor. I'm getting some testing done on my skin, so I'm not thrilled about that. So, please, 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 give me good vibes. Give me good vibes. But I'm going to end this live. I have to be up so early tomorrow. So, I will talk to you guys tomorrow, or, oh my god, I'm like on the phone. I'll talk to you guys later this week, and I'll try to do another live. We'll see how I'm feeling tomorrow. Maybe I'll try to do another live either tomorrow or Sunday. But talk to you guys later. Bye.